Hello friends, it's Grace and welcome back to another video. The video that I'm going to be doing today is my January wrap-up, talking about all of the books that I finished in the month of January. So sometimes I'll do wrap-ups where I go in the order that I read everything, but I decided that today I'm going to go from my lowest rated reads to my highest rated so that I can end on a positive note and work through it that way. Before I get into the actual books though, I just want to say that I am doing really well with a few of my reading goals starting this month, because two of the books from this month I actually listened to on audio. One of them was a combination between the physical book sometimes and the audiobook other times, but two audiobooks is really great for me because I only just started to get into them, and one of my goals was to try more of those out. And then also one of my books was also on my Kindle, so those are kind of like aligning with my goals of wanting to diversify my reading format. So that's great, and I'm really happy with what I did there. So I read 6 books in the month of January, which with my full-time job starting at the start of January, I am really happy with, and I would like to maybe keep that up. Like at least 6 books a month would be ideal for me because that will help me reach my reading goals. But of the 6 books that I read this month, I had a 3-star read, a 3.75-star read, 2 4.5-star reads, and then 2 5-star reads. So in terms of enjoyment, there was a little bit of a spectrum there, but overall, on the whole, a very positive month for me. So the book that I am going to start with, because this was my 3-star read in the month of January, is Winter's Heart by Robert Jordan. And as people who are familiar with the Wheel of Time series will know, this is the 9th book, and the Wheel of Time is sort of well recognized to have a section of slower books in the middle of the series. A variety of books 7 through 10 generally, depending on who you ask. And so this book was a very mixed bag for me. I found it very slow for a lot of it, but the final 25% was really great for me, and I actually think that this book has one of my favorite endings from the entire series so far. So it was like literally the definition of mixed feelings for me, which is why I ended up giving it 3 stars, just because there were parts that I really enjoyed, and then there were also parts that I just did not. However, I am going to have a spoiler chat for this book coming out. I believe that this video will go up first, and then after you see this, my spoiler chat for Winter's Heart will be my next video. So I'm going to talk about this book in depth, so I won't get into it here, but those are kind of just my general feelings and how we ended up on 3 stars. The next book that I want to talk about is an electronic ARC that I was so kindly approved for on NetGalley, and that is going to be Age of Ash by Daniel Abraham. And this book comes out on the 15th of February, so I am also going to have a full review with my thoughts on Age of Ash, and I ended up giving this book 3.75, but I am not going to get too much into it here. I am, like I said, going to have a full review, and that is going to go up just a couple of days after the release date of the book. So hopefully through that I'm able to help you decide whether it's something that you would like. But in general, Age of Ash, for me, even having only read one Abraham series, is characteristic of what you'll see from him in the first installment of a series, because I have the trust in Daniel Abraham to build a story and then tie it together at the end. But his first books are usually slower paced and quite a lot of build up, and I do feel like that's what Age of Ash was. So I think that it's being marketed quite a bit to fans of The Expanse because, of course, Abraham is involved in the duo that writes The Expanse. And Alan from the Library of Alexandria has said this as well, I don't think that it does a service to this book to compare it to The Expanse, because the fast-paced space opera vibes are very much not what this is. And so I don't think that those should be the expectations going in whatsoever. Again, I will go more in depth into it in my review, but I ended up thinking that this was a very solid entry point into this series, and I'm intrigued on what's to come because there were some really interesting ideas that I think are characteristic of Daniel Abraham, like super unique things that he did introduce that I want to then continue to explore. So yeah, that was a 3.75 for me, and I am super grateful to have had an arc of that and to have been able to read it and review it before it comes out. So next up, and coming in at 4.5 stars, I have The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. And so this is the one where I read this book on a combination of the audiobook and the physical book, because I actually found the audiobook for this on YouTube, which I was surprised to find it, but it was in my recommended videos. So I thought that I would give it a shot, and I really enjoyed it because this was a reread for me, and I read it physically the first time, which is why I have this copy. So I thought that it would be great to try it out on audio the second time around. I really enjoyed that experience just because it was kind of a different atmospheric feel to listen to it instead of read it, and I also have read the Iliad since reading this the last time. So it was kind of a new perspective, and this has gotten 4.5 stars from me both times that I've read it. So this is a story that I greatly enjoy. I think that it is a great exploration for like Achilles and Patroclus' relationship. Like I mean, even knowing what's gonna happen, I love watching their relationship develop, and I think that this is very emotionally impactful. I really like what Madeline Miller did here, and I just enjoyed this again. Like, reading it again ended up being basically exactly what I expected it to be, which was awesome. So because of my decision to group these like reviews or whatever by rating, it throws things a little bit out of order, but I am just going to group two books together, and that is going to be 4.5 stars for Assassin's Quest by Robin Hobb and 5 stars for Royal Assassin by Robin Hobb. So the reason this throws things a little bit out of order, of course, is because Royal Assassin, which got 5 stars, is the second book in the Farseer trilogy, and Assassin's Quest is the third and final book. But I truly did enjoy both of these books, and I actually just posted a review of the Farseer trilogy if you are interested in some of my more in-depth, spoiler-free thoughts. However, I honestly just thought that I thought Royal Assassin was absolutely fantastic, which is what made me dive into Assassin's Quest straight away after finishing Royal Assassin. Because I was buddy reading these books with Ben, and I basically just convinced him, not that it was like twisting his arm or anything, he was down to read it as well, but I was like, we have to read Assassin's Quest immediately. But Royal Assassin was by far the strongest book in the trilogy for me. I loved the plot arc, I loved the character arcs in that book, and Robin Hobb just made me so emotional, from like rage and frustration to bits of happiness and triumph to like sadness. And I said this in my review too, she really takes you through the full range of emotions, which I loved. And Assassin's Quest had that as well, but I just had a few more nitpicks with Assassin's Quest, like some of the pacing and some of the character choices that she made. However, I was happy with the way that the trilogy wrapped up overall, so those things didn't really drag down my enjoyment of it. It's just that it wasn't as perfect as Royal Assassin. So Royal Assassin and Assassin's Quest were both pretty chunky books to get through in January, which I was very happy to get accomplished, because before making this impromptu decision, I really wasn't sure when I would finish the Farseer trilogy, and I'm super glad to have it under my belt because of how much I loved it and what an experience it was. And then the final book in my January wrap-up is another reread for me, another book that I did on audio, and I do have a copy of it as well because I have read it before, and that is The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman, one of my favorites from 2021, a book that I have been championing for a while now. And after listening to this on audio, first of all, I loved it because I really enjoy Neil Gaiman's narration and the fact that he does his own books, because in my view, and there are obviously fantastic narrators that do a fantastic job, but the fact that he can do it himself probably means that he puts exactly the inflection and emotion and things that he feels are right for his story, like straight into the narration. So I think that he has a great voice for it, and I love listening to him. And also, like, this is fully now a comfort read for me. I could see myself reading The Ocean at the End of the Lane like every year or so, because it's such a quick and easy read, and it's just like, it just captures me so much. It recaptured the magic. Like, it felt as good as it did the first time that I read it. And so yeah, so it's a full, wholehearted, confident 5 stars for me. And I wanted to group Assassin's Quest and Royal Assassin together, of course, but even though Royal Assassin and this were both 5 stars, I thought that The Ocean at the End of the Lane would be a nice note to end this video on, because I just had such a good time with it. So that is it. Those are the 6 books that I read in the month of January. You can look forward to those other videos that I mentioned for Winter's Heart and Age of Ash if you are interested in those. They will both be coming out in the next week, give or take, and I'm looking forward to making them as well so that I can share my thoughts with you. And as for the other books, I really had a great time this month, so please let me know your thoughts on any of these, and you can also check out my Farseer review if you are interested. But yeah, drop me a comment, let me know what you think. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see more content from me. I post new videos every Monday and Thursday, and I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day. Bye!